Let me ask you a question. What if your biggest business mistake is not failing? What if your biggest mistake is spending 6 or 12 months, even 2 years, building something nobody wants? Think about that for a moment. Imagine investing your money into a website, logos, business cards, software subscriptions, inventory, and marketing materials, only to discover that people are not interested in what you are offering. The painful truth is that this happens every day. According to research from CB Insights, one of the top reasons startups fail is a lack of market need for their product or service. In other words, many entrepreneurs do not fail because they are lazy, untalented, or incapable. They fail because they built something before validating whether people actually wanted it. Bam. That is why today's conversation is so important. Today, we are talking about how to validate your business idea before you waste time, money, energy, and emotional capital. The message is simple. Do not build in silence or talk to people first. And by the end of this episode, you will have practical steps to determine whether your idea deserves your investment before you pour your heart into it. And on that note, I will be right back.
Welcome to the Marketing Lab, where ideas become strategy and strategy becomes movement. Built for entrepreneurs, creators, coaches, consultants, and quiet builders ready to stop guessing. Here, we break down marketing, leadership, systems, and execution in a way you can actually use. Because you don't have to know how to sell, but you do have to know how to market. Have you ever had a dream that wouldn't leave you alone? A business idea, a book, or a vision for a better life? Yet every year you tell yourself, and maybe next year. But what if the timing is never perfect? What if the only thing standing between you and the life you want is one decision? That's why I wrote Quit or Shut Up. This is about the mindset and discipline to finally finish what you started. Discover how to overcome fear, build momentum, and turn your vision into reality in the next 90 days. Quit or Shut Up launches July 22nd. Pre-order your copy today at quitorshutup.com. Stop waiting, start building. Will you quit or will you shut up and get to work?
Welcome to the Marketing Lab. I'm your host, Coach LJ, and you already know the vibe. You don't have to know how to sell, but you do have to know how to market. Here in the Marketing Lab, we help entrepreneurs, professionals, and aspiring business owners build smarter businesses through practical strategies, marketing insights, and real-world experience. Today, we are discussing one of the most overlooked skills in entrepreneurship, validation. Let us jump into it. Why great ideas still fail. One of the biggest misconceptions in entrepreneurship is the belief that a great idea automatically leads to success. And I am here to tell you that it does not. There is a massive difference between having an idea and having a demand. I had seen entrepreneurs become emotionally attached to ideas that nobody else care about. The entrepreneur loves the idea, believes, and invests thousands in it, but customers never ask for it. Philip Cutler and Gary Armstrong emphasize that successful marketing begins with understanding customer needs and wants. Notice, they did not say start with your product or service. They said start with the customer, which is a critical distinction. Many entrepreneurs start with what they want to build. Don't do that if you're doing that. Don't do that if you're doing it. But successful entrepreneurs start with what people need solved. See the difference. Many entrepreneurs start with what they want to build. However, successful entrepreneurs start with what people need to solve. Jesus demonstrated this principle throughout his ministry. He did not perform miracles at random. He responded to needs. The blind needed sight. The hungry needed food. The broken needed healing. The solution followed the problem. Likewise, our businesses must identify the problem before creating the solution. This is why Proverbs 18:13 says, to answer before listening is folly and shame. Many entrepreneurs answer questions nobody is asking. They create solutions before listening. And that is why so many ideas, great ideas, fail. So many great ideas fail for that very reason. Now that we have understand why ideas fail, let us talk about how to avoid that mistake and discuss stop building in silence. One of the greatest lessons I have learned throughout my entrepreneur journey is this: isolation creates assumptions, and conversations create clarity. And yes, even though I'm an introvert extrovert, and it is so hard for me to do this, but I had to learn this very concept. I had to learn it. I had to learn this concept that isolation creates assumptions and conversations create clarity. I really did, because I struggle with it even today. I struggle with it because I am an introvert at first before I get comfortable enough to start speaking and talking to people. So I feel those individuals and your pain. If you're that individual that's working by yourself and you feel like, oh, no, I got this, I can do it on my own. I feel your pain. I understand that you might not want to get out because you might be an introvert like me, or you might be an ambivert like myself. And you love talking to people, but you got to get comfortable first. You might, and I feel that. And for those introverted people, you might love to do it. So I'm not really talking to you because you might already talking to people already. But especially those introverted or the ambivert that struggle with this, I want to let you know, if you struggle with it, you have to get uncomfortable to get comfortable. Because if you stay in silos and you continue to work on by yourself and work in silence, it's only going to create assumptions. And the moment you start conversating with people, you start creating clarity. Because far too many entrepreneurs build in silence. Far too many. And the goal, I want to change that today. I want to change that from now on. This is why I have the postal marketing, the marketing lab, and the different things that I have going on, even with Quit or Shut Up. I have different, because I want to change that narrative. Because they do spend months creating courses, writing books, designing products, and developing software, all without speaking to potential customers. Everrise, author of The Lean Startup, teaches that entrepreneurs should test assumptions early and often through customer feedback. The market should help shape the product, and the customer should influence the solution. This principle aligns perfectly with Scripture. Proverbs 15:22 tells us, plans fail for lack of counsel, but with many advisors, they succeed. Notice the pattern. Please notice the pattern. Business research says seek feedback, and Scripture says seek counsel. And both point to the same truth. Do not build alone. Talk to people, ask questions, and listen carefully. Some questions you should ask include: what is your biggest challenge right now? Make it personal, though. Say, what is my biggest challenge right now? What what frustrates me the most? What have I already tried? What would solving this problem mean for me? Would I pay for a solution? See the difference when you make it personal? Now you start to ask personal questions, and now your mind begin to go to work because you made it personal to you. So when you ask them these questions, make it personal. Don't say you. Don't say, but make it personal, because you want to reflect about your business and your customers or service. These conversations often reveal opportunities you will never discover on your own. And once you have gathered those insights, the next step becomes much easier. How to validate before you build. So how do you validate an idea before investing significant resources? Let me give you a few practical methods. First, use surveys. A simple survey can reveal whether people experience the problem you are trying to solve. Second, conduct interviews. One conversation can provide insights that 100 assumptions never will. Third, test pre-orders. Nothing validates demand like someone putting out a credit card. People say many things, but money tells the truth. Fourth, build a landing page. Create a simple page that describes your offer and measures interest before building the full product. Fifth, launch a beta version. Do not wait for perfection. Let real people test it. Finally, use social media. Ask questions, create polls, share concepts, and observe responses. Bam, validation is not complicated. It is simply listening before investing. And speaking of testing ideas before they become products, that is exactly what I have learned while building my upcoming book, Quit or Shut Up.
Have you ever had a dream that wouldn't leave you alone? A business idea, a book, or a vision for a better life? Yet every year you tell yourself, and maybe next year. But what if the timing is never perfect? What if the only thing standing between you and the life you want is one decision? That's why I wrote Quit or Shut Up. This is about the mindset and discipline to finally finish what you started. Discover how to overcome fear, build momentum, and turn your vision into reality in the next 90 days. Quit or Shut Up launches July 22nd. Pre-order your copy today at quitorShutUp.com. Stop waiting, start building. Will you quit or will you shut up and get to work?
As you saw in the video, Quit or Shut Up is more than a book. It is a message shaped through real conversations, feedback, and experiences. While writing this book, I share lessons, stories, and concepts before launch, and the feedback confirms something important. People do not just need motivation. They need structure, accountability, and execution. That is why Quit or Shut Up and the 90-day challenge exist. The book is the door. The challenge is where transformation happens, because information alone does not change lives. Implementation does. Now, let us continue. What the data really says and the research consistently supports validation. CB Insights continues to identify a lack of market need as one of the leading causes of startup failure. Cutler and Armstrong emphasize customer-centered marketing as the foundation of sustainable business growth. Everrise argues that testing assumptions early reduces waste and increases learning. Sherman Horn notes that effective organizations continuously gather information before making strategic decisions. The pattern is undeniable because research says listen first. Marketing says listen first. Leadership says listen first. And scripture says listen first. The entrepreneur who listens gains insight, and the entrepreneur who assumes creates risk. Validation is not a luxury. Validation is stewardship. Luke 14:28 asks, suppose one of you wants to build a tower. Won't you first sit down and estimate the cost? That principle applies to business. Before you build, evaluate. Before you invest, investigate. Before you launch, validate. Which brings us to the 5 questions every entrepreneur should ask, which is the 5 validation questions. Question number 1, is it a real problem? Not a problem you imagine, but a problem people actually experience. Question number 2, is it painful enough? People rarely pay to solve minor inconvenience. They pay to solve meaningful problems. Question number 3, are people already paying for solutions? Competition is often evidence of demand. Do not fear competition. Study it. Question number 4, can I reach these people? You may have a fantastic solution, but if you cannot reach the audience, growth becomes difficult. Question number 5, will they buy from me? Trust, authority, and relationships matter. And people do not just buy products, they buy confidence, credibility, and trust. When you can answer all 5 questions confidently, you are moving beyond assumptions and toward opportunities. Bam. Stop guessing and start listening. Stop assuming and start asking. Stop building in silence and start having conversations. The goal is not simply to create a product. The goal is to create a solution people generally want. Validation saves time and money and reduces risk. Most importantly, validation helps ensure you are building something meaningful. As we prepare for the July 22nd launch of Quit or Shut Up, I want you to remember one thing. Success does not belong to the entrepreneur with the most ideas. Success belongs to the entrepreneur who solves the right problem, which is the difference. And the difference changes everything. I want to hear from you. Comment one word below. Business, fitness, faith, relationships, or education. Then answer this question. What have you been putting off for the last 90 days? Let us start the conversation. And remember, you don't have to know how to sell, but you do have to know how to market. I will see you in the next episode of the Marketing Lab. And you already know what's coming next. Deuces! Peace!
Have you ever had a dream that wouldn't leave you alone? A business idea, a book, or a vision for a better life? Yet every year you tell yourself, and maybe next year. But what if the timing is never perfect? What if the only thing standing between you and the life you want is one decision? That's why I wrote Quit or Shut Up. This is about the mindset and discipline to finally finish what you started. Discover how to overcome fear, build momentum, and turn your vision into reality in the next 90 days. Quit or Shut Up launches July 22nd. Pre-order your copy today at quitorshutup.com. Stop waiting. Start building. Will you quit or will you shut up and get to work?